the one.
So it just kind of
Agree? Hey,
contradicted it.
now look here, this is very, look here, a unity. Can it be a unity? Wait a minute, isn't a unity a bunch of parts put together in a certain way that they all come? Does it involve many? Uh-oh, that's out. Now look here. If we can say the one, or one, and we can't in any way reference anything else other than itself, then can we say it's the same as something else, or is it similar to something else?
No.
Because that would involve a parts and a manyness, and some basis of making a comparison between two things. So you have to talk about, oh, we only want to talk about, uh-oh.
One whole.
Uh-oh. This is very damaging. Now we're caught in a problem.
It can't be described or defined.
Well, you're quite right, but we found something else. Even though it may not be capable of being described, we know that if it is described, it's not that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it can be a neti-neti, not this, not this, not this, not this. Or a diva negativa, right? Yeah. Well, this is very embarrassing. Look here. Now, I was going to make a whole nice list for you of all of the terms, but I'll just add a couple of more and you'll see. And would you not agree we can say that hey, when you consider this experience like any other experience, this is the greatest experience for man, isn't it? Therefore, you can say it's greater. And you can say everything else is less. Can you?
Right.
Well, then you can talk about it in terms of, well, then, good heavens. If it's greater, isn't the ER making a comparison?
Yes.
And we said, if we have a 1, and if the 1 is the nature of what really
Is.
therefore it better not be a ER or
Ist.
no ers allowed in our game. Smaller, larger, bigger, well, nothing of that, right? Therefore, if someone insists this is an experience of the 1, we'll say, excuse me, is it greater? Have you noticed whether it's greater than any other experience? Oh, yes, it's great. Greater means ER, comparative. Yes, yes, therefore you can make a comparison. Yes, 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 goodbye. Plurality, not a 1. Oh. Well, look here. We could try something else. We could say, could this experience be equal to some other, what does that presuppose? The assumption behind it is that there must be two things that have a certain identity between them. That's gone. Two things, relation between them equal. Oh, now this is rather peculiar. I have it. I've got it. Look here. Let's agree that this is the greatest experience. And look here, just because it's not, doesn't, I mean, you examine it, we can't say it's 1. Let's forget the idea of 1, and let's just say this is the ultimate experience, and forget this business about the good and the 1. And call this the ultimate. Let's call the idea of the good the ultimate experience, and forget about this other thing we've been doing, which is using a dialectic on it.
Yeah, but didn't we need the good in order to get to where we're at?
Well,
To get to this?
let's change it.
So doesn't it need that
Let's
progression?
change it then, because we can keep this. Let's keep this. This is so magnificent. Shouldn't we keep this and forget about these theoretical points? Now you're caught, you see. Now you're caught. To the degree to which you want to say man's highest experience is an ultimate, and there's nothing beyond it, you're over here. If you say, wait a minute, do you want to say the nature, or the highest nature, the thing about which we all seek is the 1? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, then this can't be 1. So you're caught between the demand of reasoning and versus experience. that tension between the two goes on in different systems and within ourselves when you play this game. Now, what's startling, let's go to the next step now. What does the dialectic do?
Drives you crazy.
Pardon me? Drives you crazy. Of course, of course. Of course it drives you crazy. That's the whole goal. Yeah, that's the whole goal, drive you crazy. Yeah. Let's see, the other side of that is it makes you rational and everything else is crazy. It's one or the other. It's one or the other. So look here. You know what happens now? People who play this game, in some way, and it's not an experience, because an experience has a beginning, a middle, and an end. They recognize the truth of this, and they say, yep, since you can't say anything about it, that is really what we are after. You can only express it negatively. That's right. Only express it. It's a dia negativa. All right, it's a dia negativa. All right, which is that great expression of Meister Eckhart. You can only talk about God in terms of negatives. God seen only negatively. It's a neti, Sanskrit. All right, neti. Or in Parmenides, it's a pure one. And you don't need the word pure. When that settles into the soul of man, then he knows that this is second. And how he ever got that, it's not an experience. It's a state of mind, has no beginning, has no end. That's where Platonic philosophy goes. And that's the dialectic. That's why you need the philosophical midwifery at the last stage, because you may think you're going nuts. You're quite right. In some sense, this is crazy. Isn't it? There's the great tension behind this, because if you can see anyone who touched this, they want to hold on to that. And now you're going to say to them, excuse me, do you want to play a little and talk about this grand and noble experience you've had? Just one last thought. You see, if you have this, then you think you are greater. If you have this, then you think everything else must be less than you. All of the things that follow from prizing this cause many absurdities, even in the spiritual world, doesn't it? What happens then when you move from this to this?
Get humble again.
Now, things just the way they are can be seen as perfect. As the Chinese say, just so. That's the Tao. That's above the Tao. So I wanted to take you through this. I'll throw it open to questions and have some fun with you now.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
This guy wrote a book called The Cloud of Unknowing.
That's right. That's the cloud of unknowing. That's right. Plays havoc on theology, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Meister Eckhart did something very important with it. He called it the Godhead. He said, I have it, he said. See, because if you're arguing about Trinitarian Christianity and Catholicism, and you have, that's a unity, 3 parts, whether they are parts or they're not becomes a big, involved, nice theological discussion, but essentially you have a unity, however you describe it, and that's a one of a unity. So Meister Eckhart came along after this opened up to him, and he reasoned in the following way. He said, oh yes, there certainly is a Trinity, 3 parts. But you know, he says, that which unites it all, must be higher than that. And the unity itself, not the unity of the 3 parts, but the unity itself,